And we'll make sure that we're live. Can you tell if we're live?
I will go look right now for us. Let's see. Yes, we are live.
Awesome. Well, happy Tuesday, and hopefully everyone had a phenomenal Labor Day weekend. I'm Carrie Sparks, your Arizona Title Gal, and I'm very excited about today's presentation with René Johnson, the Power Zone coach. I'm very fortunate to be able to call her not only a partner in our work, but also a phenomenal friend and great lady. And she champions some of the same causes that I have out there. If you have not met with me recently, I'm gearing up and take my 20 years of industry experience for business planning for 2022. Marketing continues to change. If you have not changed your marketing recently, somebody else's may be passing you by. Let me keep you up to speed and everything. But I am excited to be able to host these every once in a while on Facebook, as well as you can see me on my other channels that I have, my YouTube, Instagram, all that kind of good stuff, because in the world we live in right now, social media marketing and having that presence is really important. But today, René Johnson, like drum roll here, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about her. René Johnson is the founder and CEO of the Power Zone Coaching, a strategic leadership company developed from over 25 years of experience and turning struggling or stuck businesses into a vehicle necessary to achieve their profit and legacy goals. René is a multi-top selling author, international speaker, and educator, and recognized as the top 10 leadership development training coaching companies for 2022. I have had the privilege of having some coaching with René, so I would say that is absolutely 100% the truth. René, do you want to say a couple things when we get started here?
Hey, thank you, Carrie. You know, I love to be able to connect with you whenever we do, because you represent one of my core values of inspiring, and you are a prime example of what we're going to talk about today with that magnetic effect and how to use that in other areas. And so aligning with key partners like Carrie is a core principle that I utilize. And today, as we go through this presentation, if you will, because we're going to do some casual banter. We're going to make sure we cover the 3 principles that we're going to talk about. And I'm also going to give you an opportunity at the end of this to take this to another level as a complimentary gift from me. So if you have to jump off during this, be sure to check back and catch the replay, because I will be sharing a gift at the end of this.
Awesome, René. See, before we went live here this morning, we were talking about being relevant, which is a big deal. I know you're going to touch on it a couple times today, but for right now, what I'm seeing is a need for people to really surround themselves with new and fresh ideas so that they can stay relevant in the changing environment that we're in. I know you serve several industries, but I'm curious, how did you get started teaching real estate professionals?
So the real estate professionals, I love you guys. You guys are crazy. You're always got your little fire engines going everywhere you're going. There's just so much movement in the industry. So I love you. And you've been a part of my business from way back when I started in 2004. And so I got introduced to Kurt Colgan, who at that time was the president. So I'm from California originally, and the president of Primera Realty. And he came and he sought me out as seeing me present at an event for the WCR through a connection of mine. And the reason he sought me out was relevant to what we're going to speak about today, in the energy, the magnetic energy pull that he felt in that presentation. And he's a president of a huge real estate company in California, in the Sacramento area. And so why would he need a coach if he's already in this position? And in this process of speaking at the event, I had a big aha come out, not only with him, but he was one of the members in the audience, that as I was speaking at the event, and I had my presentation all buttoned up, what I was talking about and so forth, But I looked out in the audience, and what I was seeing was faces that were doing this. And I thought, oh my gosh, Carrie, I'm sucking. I was so stressed out and nervous, but I stayed my course. Okay, I will make sure that I apologize to the event coordinator at the end of this. Let me just get off the stage. And I scurried back to my table that I had set out with my books and my flyers. Thought, okay, I'll just kind of blend into the wall, right? And I waited till they were done. And before she was finished doing her closing remarks, people were getting up and coming back and lining up where at my table, Carrie. And by the time we were done with this, I had sold out all of my books. And Kurt happened to be one of them that came to my table. And I pulled this up because I wanted to share what he said that he learned from working with me early on, is that he said, Renee has great insight, allowing areas of my life previously below the surface to come out and focus energies toward resolution and realization. As a result, I was able to bring the wisdom and understanding of our work together into enormous areas of experience in my business and provide that coaching and tools to my company and employees. So I can't say it enough, the power of that magnetic energy that I know we're going to get into, but that started a trickle-down effect of different individuals in the industry finding out how important it is for them to be in touch with their own personal energy and the impact it was going to have on their career, their life, of course, but on their career and on their business as well.
I've read your book, the one that's right behind you, that pretty blue one. And as a matter of fact, it's been part of a book club that I've been involved in. And I have to tell you, I love the style that you wrote the book in and having us really do work and integrating kind of a little bit of a workbook of sorts, but really peeling back so many things. And it makes you slow down and really look at what are your goals. And so I commend you for the book. I mean, we read a lot of sales books in the industry. And so I just really have enjoyed not only knowing you, like I said, as a friend, but also your expertise in how you put it together and how you've published it and been such a well-known speaker.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So Renee, tell me a little bit more about being magnetic. How do we turn on this into our lives or our business?
So before we got on, you were talking about some of the changes, what was going on in the industry. And I find that in working with the real estate community now for over 20 years, I work with different industries, healthcare, finance, technology, and real estate, and primarily serving either the business owner or the executives in the business. That's my main focal point. And I say that because of what we're going to talk about and how using that magnetic force. So there are 5 key things, they can have maybe a little adjustment depending on what the market's like, Carrie. And we said today we're going to speak about, how to get off the market merry-go-round. And so challenges that I've found throughout the years, they could be in different orders of energy impact. And that is inventory issues. Okay, it could be low inventory and having the right ones to show, growing, right, online, the competition from the listing portals. So how do you grow online, the competition from the listing portals, adapting to technology trends, and then costly lead generation. That's another one that fraughts a lot of in the industry to do. Is it worth, doing the SEO for agents for your business? How do you cultivate a database? So there are these magnetic energies attached to every single one of these. And if we're not looking at these and adjusting regularly to them, we can find ourselves doing an all or nothing approach. And that becomes exhausting. And I want to show you how these all are going to be in alignment with the 3 things that we're going to talk today and how they're going to influence those top 5 challenges that the real estate, mortgage title, the real estate industry has And those ones show their face at different times. And if you're not ahead of the curve, you're not recognizing the vibrational energy you're attaching to those, and you only serve one at a time because you got to hurry and do it, and you neglect the other ones, then you're going to be paddling up the wave when that one has the volumes turned down on it and it's not the priority energy. You got to turn up the volume on the other. And so it's really important to understand how those are in relationship to your own energy, so that you can keep the energy focused on all of those and have the power to turn them up as you need, not panicking and going up against the wave. So in the magnetic form, as I mentioned, I was speaking at that event, and they were hearing my words, but more importantly, they were feeling my energy. And many of us have taken the last year and a half, almost 2 years now, during this COVID, and have really spent some time trying to figure out what's important in our lives. Right, Carrie? I know you've been going through that as well, and many that I've been talking to. And our own innate abilities, our own innate intuition abilities have been increased naturally because we've been more aware of our surroundings. We've been more aware of what people are saying to us, how we're feeling. We want authenticity in our life. Our BS monitors are even going up, and we are not hesitant, in the sensitivity culture, to speak to that and to expect certain things to come up or be available to us, or to say no to some things and yes to others. So this past year, many people have found themselves soul searching, if you will, right? And coming to understand what's important. And it doesn't stop there, as I mentioned. And if you don't know your own magnetic energy and how you influence others, then you're just basically white noise. You're white noise. You don't have any relevance, as you like to use that term, Carrie. There's no relevance. You don't stand out. You're basically part of that white noise. You sound like everyone else. And when that white noise is present, there's resistance that's present. And that makes it more difficult for others to want to gravitate towards you. So you have to understand what makes you unique and different so you can stand out. In essence, have a magnetic force and be authentic when you stand out. And to back this up is, I love the quote by, I'm trying to think, is it Dennis? I'm going to get it wrong now. I say it so much when I speak. Now I'm going to draw a blank on it. I think it's Dennis Weidman, and I'll put it up on the side after so I can make sure that I'm correct. They could look it up. But he was early on the marketing VP for Nike. And he has a quote that in their process of becoming who they are and how they stand out. So you think about this, how do they stand out? When you see the swoosh or when you watch their commercials, you get a sense of energy. It has an energetic or magnetic pull to it and what it means to you. Go do it, right? Just do it. Or their stories are overcoming stories and these athletes and what they do in their life. It's a magnetic pull. So Nike discovered, he says in his quote, they didn't discover advertising. Guess what? They discovered their voice.
There's a lot of times people don't realize what their gifts are until they slow down and really look at what is the attraction. I hear about people wanting to have recruiting campaigns, but what about shifting it the other direction, having an attraction campaign, really understanding and drilling down on what the gifts are. And in your terminology, the magnetic pieces that draw people toward you. Again, the work that I've done with you and through your book, really taking a moment and stepping back and writing down, because you have to put it in writing, right, Rene? And just going, okay, what is it that attracts people to you? And get rid of like all the modesty that some of us are taught to have about ourselves. And look at what is it about ourselves that attracts us as salespeople or any kind of professional in the industry, in different industries.
Well said, because otherwise you just become the me too. And in real estate, you can't become a me too. You're just the white noise. And as like Kurt's testimony shared, as he evolved, who you are becoming as a professional in your career is just as important as what you're doing. So what you're relating to, Carrie, is what I liken to in the magnetic energy is the alignment. the alignment to your values, and those align to your actions. And that's so important, because when there's alignment between your values and your actions, you'll find you'll be able to tap into your deepest level of creativity. You'll be able to take more strengthening risk, and you'll increase your success. But on a scientific side, the magnetic pole side, let me back this up. It is emotional energy, not mental energy, that is a true motivator of the human spirit. And emotional energy has its source in what people believe and value, and values give meaning to life. So backing this up, when you honor your values, so you got to first identify what they are. And when I work with my clients, they'll say, yeah, I know what they are, but when I have to sit down and actually get them to tell me and how they rate themselves and how important they are versus how they're walking their talk of their value, and that's where you turn up the magnetic force of it. It's not always equal. In fact, it's not. It's when I get there, when I have time, or this is causing me not to. But when you honor your values as you contribute and interact with the world around you, you express them. And that's a magnetic force. When we connect with people, when people connect with you, what they're feeling is your value, energetic energy. So again, back to Nike, this is not woo-woo. You know, when people buy, they buy with emotion and justify with logic. The emotional connection we have with individuals is through the defining our values and being willing to own those and put a stake in the ground, and not be tempted to jump over because it might be the bright, sexy thing over here, but to make yours brighten up and stand out like a lighthouse, that magnetic force, and make sure that you know how to tune it up so that you can stand out differently. The last quick story I'll tell on that, and we probably kind of move forward with it, was I was at a networking event years ago, and we often think about the branding aspect of our magnetic force, right? And though it's important, it doesn't hold any weight, won't do anything for you if you don't know how to use it. And this gal, we were passing around cards, and she had a beautiful real estate card, and I picked it up and looked at it. And I went to say something to her, what I noticed about her card. Before I even got my words out, Carrie, she goes, I know, I'm just another real estate agent. That's what she said. So do you see the conflict? She maybe had the most beautiful branding, but she wasn't connected with the expression of what she brings to the table. And that day, bringing it full circle, I was expressing when I spoke. I was a younger speaker almost 20 years ago, right? But I was expressing my value, and that's what got them to come to me like a magnet and sell out all my books and sign my programs.
I love it, Renee. I love it. Well, you definitely are a magnetic personality in person. We were talking ahead of time about some challenges different customers, clients were having in title, communication issues and whatnot. What are your thoughts?
So I am seeing that, when I mentioned about how in this new economy that we're in, this post-current, however you want to measure the COVID, right, time that we're in, we're excited to get out and spend when we get a chance, and get out of our homes and peel back our jammies, our sweats, and get out there, right? But we're also wanting to have a heightened experience. We are noticing and recognizing our experience in whatever you're going to purchase. So you guys know that in real estate, what is the main thing that you're looking at and selling? It's location, location, location. But on a consumer realm, it is relationship, relationship, relationship. We are hungry, like I said, to get out and use these services. We've had so much time away that we're heightened this experience. But I want to tell you that for over the 20 years I've had my business, this has been one of my strong elements in coaching my clients, is what I call a CEG, Customer Experience Guide. It's one of our proprietary programs. And as I mentioned, I'm going to share you a way that you can get access to this later after our time today. But it's relevant to that. When you look at your relationships with your customer, I often find that those 5 key elements that are the challenge in real estate I brought in the beginning, they heighten their energy, their importance at different times in the market, right? And that's the market merry-go-round we're going to talk about today. But do you know that keeping your customer experience aligned and very organized in some ways I'm going to talk about here are actually going to impact any one of those five key challenges that the market has by helping you define what that customer experience is and design it in such a way that your customers start to become your tribe in a way that they are your profit center. That no matter which of those challenges are relevant at the time in your business, that when you have these tuned in and it's consistent, it's not only when you need a client or a close, but instead in looking at ways that you're building relationships, or as I like to call it in my business, is partnerships. That's a key reason why I've been successful against all the coaches out there, is because I build partnerships, which is key to relationship building. When you do that and you take advantage of that, you are not caught with having to hurry and react to one of those elements in the market, because you've built up your pipeline in a way that you know how to turn it on. And when you have your customer experience set up in a way that you're guiding them, you get to create 3 key rewards. I call it the 3 R's in your real estate community, and that is repeat business, okay, rating reviews, and referrals. And if you took your book of business and you attach those 3 R's to every one of your customer, knowing that many are going to do this multiple times in a year, if you set this up correctly, and you have ways that you're cultivating the relationship throughout, from even before, from the top of your funnel to the ongoing maintenance. Now, look at how the customer can feed and keep the oil going throughout the relationship, where you're not in a reactive mode to the challenges. This is where you become profitable. This is where you impact communication, which I know is one of the key challenges, Carrie, and planning in advance, setting those expectations. I find that often in your industry, you guys will act like your emergency room doctors. You got to be on 24/7. Now, I do believe in being available and having your relationships, but all of my clients that come to me with that symptom that doesn't allow them to actually have a healthy life balance in this process, what is that, you might be asking? And I'll tell you, my most profitable in this industry have time off. They're not stuck with the phone, and you still can have a great experience and a great service because you set expectations ahead of time, and you teach your customers how to work inside of this, where they know they're cared for, where when you talk to them, you're prepared. You're not like, I'll get back to you later, where you are impactful, and that allows you to work together in partnerships. And so even when they're not in the buying and they've already had their keys to their home, they're actually providing you business naturally, joyfully, and it's working for you, and you're not the white noise anymore. All you need to do is show up in the magnetic form once you determine what makes you magnetic, that is. And so now these relationships, you're inspiring. You're not selling anymore. And that's the best profitable model. And so communication is key. And I know that you guys, you've shared that with me, even in your business, right, Carrie, with keeping that funnel and that customer relation going?
Absolutely. Being in contact, whether it's physical, if it's technology like this, you have to stay with your people, your tribe. I'll give you an example of something that I do uncover with some of the realtors around me, is that they will buy leads. Okay. And then at the end of the transaction, the customer doesn't know who they truly had the relationship with. Even if someone was out selling or showing them houses, it was with a company and not with a person. Mm-hmm. That has been something that's been chronic in my world. And if anyone is having that issue, please get a hold of either Rene or myself, and we'll see what we can do to put some systems in place. But you mentioned having a life. Mm-hmm. So I would say that most of the successful real estate agents and mortgage professionals that I work with, they have lives. They put systems around them in place, whether it's their cell phone and having the right message, or a text message response, or an out of office, but at least communicate that you're doing something. Mm-hmm. Or maybe it's Facebook and staying cuffed in conversations with your customers inside of your feeds, but let people know that you are doing this, that, and the other. You haven't forgotten about them. You're still there to help. You still appreciate, their business and their referrals. And just that communication is just absolutely paramount. And it's interesting in how some of us just kind of don't push it to the forefront. Renee, what would you say about that?
It's absolutely. And then I find that you end up being in this reactive mode, and that's where you go back to being the emergency room doctor, that you have to be on 24/7. But that's a symptom. That's not a business model. It's not sustainable depends on what lifestyle you want. And there's a lot of fears that come up, like, well, if I don't respond right away, somebody else. Well, that gets me back to the next point about the model that I teach in my CEG, is that relationship building requires trust. So yeah, they'll go somewhere else, like you said, if they don't know who's their person, their point person. You just shared in your example, Carrie. So you've got to build trust, and that trusting comes from the very beginning of implementing the experience and building points of building trust throughout the relationship, from the very start all the way through manifesting this precious commodity. And I have been able to prove that you can double and triple your business, and it can be an ongoing growth opportunity. And it will help you then mitigate those 5 key things that we talked about in the beginning: low inventory, growing online competition, listing portals, adapting technology, costly lead generation, SEOs, cultivating database. All of this, those are only going to be as good. You can only mitigate beyond those as good as you've identified your why, what makes you magnetic, and use that. Okay, use that consistently, and don't be tempted to become part of the bright, shiny things, me too's, okay? And then making sure that you have a model, that you build a relationship of trust, so that your customers, when you say, listen, I'm going to do the research for you, I will call you back within X period of time, they're not blowing up the phone, because you've already built an experience that they know that when you connect with them, you will have your ducks in a row. I know, talking on the other side, because my company, over the years, they'll do assessments of customers and find out what are the things that stick them and what bothers them. And they'd rather have you take a little bit more time and respond prepared than just keep touching base, because you give off a sense of, do you know your stuff or not? You break down trust that way, because you're coming across reactive and hyper and out of sorts and not in your zone. And so that's a fallacy, and I can prove it. You can go look at my testimonies, and I can prove that it's not about how fast you respond. It's that you have a model that you've built trust, and that they know you're going to respond, and you're going to respond with the right things that help move that relationship along in the points of giving them the results they want. And that's how you convert them into becoming lifelong. Now, if you're just looking to build just a transaction type of business, then this model is not for you. You're just going to work hard and you're not going to have a guarantee. Okay. But if you build a relationship business, and it starts now, not when I get time. And that's a myth that I hear too, is a symptom is, well, I'm busy right now, I'll get to it when it slows down. Well, you're already behind the 8 ball. Now you're paddling up, and other people already have this in place, and they've already captured those relationships, or they've converted their existing clientele into a better mechanism that serves you both. And it can be done, and it's worth it for both of you. It's worth it for both of you.
I agree with you so much. I mean, whether you're in title, mortgage, real estate, I think that those people that we surround ourselves, we eventually become friends and almost like family with them. And it's something that is just treasured, at least by me, with my customers that I've been able to serve over the years. And there are people in this private Facebook group that I have known for a very long time, that I've worked with in multiple states, whether it be the great state, my home state of Minnesota, or it be, of course, Arizona, which I've worked across most of Arizona over the last 20 some years. And I'm just privileged to have people that are started as customers but ended up as friends and family. It's just a wonderful thing. What would you say is one area you coach on that successful real estate professionals take for granted? I'd love to hear your list.
Protecting your best asset, you. Now, it leverages off what we've talked about here, but part of the alignment, the magnetic attraction form of it, is that you're coming grounded in your greatest strengths. And so you've got to become your secret weapon. And the way to do that is that you understand, these couple things that we've talked about are alignment, but you're also coming from a place of being deliberately practicing self-honor. You guys are gonna say, what the heck is that, right? That's only when I get to go on vacation or put my feet up and if I don't check it. But self-honor approach to managing your time is the secret weapon that my clients use and makes a huge difference for you, but also for your customers. Let me explain that and why that's so important and something to consider with this. So this is in the way that you use your time, in essence, your life, and the way you allow others to use it. And that's one of the key comfort zones, is not managing your time. You'll know you're in a comfort zone when you're not managing your time and you start to say, my plate is so full. Okay, that plate is your comfort zone. And so what is on your plate are all these things that maybe shouldn't have ended up in your plate. Maybe should have had time that you dedicated to put in your schedule so you get to it a little bit each week so that within a month it's done instead of the all or nothing approach in the night before. Maybe it's something that somebody gave you said yes to because nobody else you thought would do it in the office. And so you just like, whatever, I'm going to do it. And it should really be a dump it. And I do talk about that quite a bit in my book about this area of it, as you probably know, Carrie. Or maybe it's something you should delegate. And that's a big one. And letting go and learning what are your core strengths in order to be that magnetic, in order to service your customers, you got to learn which things need to be delegated. And if you don't have time to delegate, even more so, that's an area. There's 3 steps of delegation I teach, and allowing where you can identify, even if it's a little bit of something, there's 10 steps. You're going to start with the first 3. You learned it, somebody else can learn it. You have to get rid of the myth that only anybody can do is you, because then it becomes 2-person dependent. And when you're deliberate, you're system dependent. System dependent allows you to elevate up and allow the system to be the backbone. System dependency allows you to be more confident and to know that you've got the support you need to do the job that your customers deserve. System dependent allows you to be more assertive, not passive, and not aggressive. Okay, assertiveness. That's where you're prioritizing yourself and you're getting your needs not done. A lot of times I find that you guys feel selfish and that you don't want to take care of yourself. But the experience you're creating in reversely interviewing the customers, they'll tell you they notice it. They may nod their head and say, oh, okay, but they're feeling you're out of vibrational connection and alignment with yourself. And they're sensing it and they're not liking it. And they may go through the process, but if they get somebody that they feel more relaxed with, that's going to build their trust. They get somebody that is listening better, that's going to build their trust. Somebody that doesn't keep coming back and forth because they were too busy and multitasking, they didn't hear the right question of their customer and they have to go back and correct it. I'm just giving prime examples and you're nodding your head, Carrie. So the system part of the business, and that goes from you as an individual, but also goes through the system of how you're going to serve your customers. And in the funnel approach that I teach, is not a luxury anymore. The systems, as I mentioned, becomes the backbone from the very first touch, all the way into the transaction part, back and forth with, your assistant and the paperwork and talking to your support, your vendors, your title, your mortgage. There needs to be a well-oiled system that you can guide. Here's the thing, guide somebody through, not let it happen to them, but they are carried through the experience. And if you're not deliberate with how you use your time, And then you're not meeting the experience, prioritizing yourself. You're not meeting the experience in a way that you can best use your time or your employees' time so they can be part of the experience. And the customer will start feeling this. They will start feeling your scarcity, nervous energy. It starts taking away your attraction factor. It starts diminishing the relationship. It starts weakening the customer experience. And then we've recreated ourselves this vicious cycle. And that tolerance factor that you put yourself in becomes your norm. But the opposite is true. I know without a doubt. And when you start to position yourself in a self-honoring approach and be more deliberate, you actually make more sales. You actually can grow your business. Here's a quick example, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, Carrie, because you're nodding your head a lot. And so I can tell you all, I mentioned I was going to teach by stories, and I'm going to tell you another story, and I can teach by all these different stories over the years of building these real estate mortgage title legacies, right? And what they're doing. So I had, he's with Keller Williams, come to me, and he had maybe a team of 6 agents, his brokerage. And he came to me because he was challenged. He, was busy on so much, felt like he was doing the extra hours because his other agents didn't know how to do this or this. He was correcting their paperwork. He was doing the follow-up, and they were going home, and they, were reaping from his fruits of labor. And he was feeling frustrated because he wasn't getting the results. Well, he was like 12 closes at the end of the month, but guess who was doing them all? Him. And so he's frustrated because why aren't they doing this? I'm teaching them this. I'm helping them do this. I'm showing them this. I have the system and whatnot. But what he wasn't doing is letting go. He wasn't honoring and putting a positive expectation and communicating from his highest value and expecting them to do their parts of it and teaching them how to use the model in a way where he learned how to be hands-off and instead positively challenge them to grow into this. So as we worked through this and developed their model and taught them and learned how to not take it over, instead allow them to do it and improve the process in it, that within 60 days he came back to me and we were talking and during that, and he says, guess what? We closed another 12 this month. I said, great. He goes, but the difference is, guess how many I closed? I said, what? He said, none. So that's profit. That's profit because now he's built up where his team is taking all of his knowledge. That's part of self-honor. His team is learning how to be deliberate. So they're growing their business and leaning into the models. And now he can look at a greater level of value of how can he serve his company? How can he serve his team? How can he influence and lead differently and help build upon this new lifestyle that he's created? But he couldn't do that if he was stuck in always being down in the technician role and not utilizing his team. Any thoughts on that, Carrie, what I shared with that?
I totally, it screams to me everything you're saying. For the last 3.5 months, I have been mentoring my daughter into the industry. And I keep going back and drawing on the experience from something that was told to me several months ago before she joined me as my partner. She's not an assistant. We brought her in as a partnership, which I absolutely love because I'm empowering her from the very first day that she joined me. But there was an example that was given to me, and I think that it can apply to a lot of us who think that if you want to do something, you got to do it yourself to do it right. Sometimes we just need to slow down and ask ourselves, have we fully explained the process to the person that you're bringing on? There was the example that I'm drawing from right now has to do with just simply getting an assistant and going to the grocery store. It's going to seem a little strange, but you'll get it. So let's just say I needed to get an assistant, and that person needed to go to the grocery store and get me some vegetables. Stay with me, Rene.
I stay with you.
But the thing about it is if I don't tell somebody which grocery store to go to, which type of produce that I would like, when you bring it home, how to cut it, and then when you put it in the right storage container, and then where you want it in the refrigerator. If you have not walked through those steps, somebody can fall off and go to the wrong grocery store, buy regular versus organic, cut it up with whether it be soup versus just nibbling on something, put it in a non-airtight container, and put it in the wrong part of the refrigerator. Well, the failure really has to, you have to slow down and think, is it that person's failure that was supposed to go to the grocery store? Or is it my failure for not slowing down and helping with the steps for success? And which has been a great process that I've gone through with my daughter, Kirsten, is that I want her to be successful. We've slowed down. We've talked about communication. We've talked about value. We've talked about being relevant and really lining her up for her career in selling title insurance. So that's what I have to say.
It's a great example. So there's a self-importance that I find in the real estate community you have. And I think, you need to have that because it's a tough job. You need to feel confident. You need to find your value. But how that works against you, that quality, is that you feel like often that only you can do it as well. And that is such a misnomer and so exhausting. And I love your example, the grocery store, that's simplistic in putting in place the different milestones that need to be met and the measurements of success and what it looks like. And once you do that, when you outline that, that's one of the key things that we go in and do is identify what their CEG model is going to look like, and knowing who's touching and when and how to hand off and what it looks like when it's successful, ensuring the customer is thought of at the highest level through the process, that we're also building the opportunities of trust and asking for our referral, asking for our review way from the very top and earning that along so that we're guaranteed when they drop out the other end, not only has the transaction been smooth, then we've utilized our team and we know that we're not the only one. So if we, heaven forbid, we get sick or a child needs something, we built a team process around us, no matter if it's small or large team, where the customer feels part of the community, and you have permission to up-level yourself to your highest, best value. And that is where you serve. You don't serve where you're trying to do everything by yourself because you're the only one that is good at it. That's not self-honoring, and that's not being deliberate. It's a matter of really identifying the highest value points and then how you can be supported in the process so that you're allowed to interact with the customer at the highest energy, vibrationally, magnetically, that builds the trust in this. And if you are saying to yourself, well, nobody can do it as good as me, or I have to do this, or my client expects only me to call, or I can see all the excuses. Well, then you're not functioning in the highest value aspect. You're not delivering in your highest, best way that earns you the right to ask for the repeat, the referral, the raving review. And if your book of business is only 250 clients, that equals to 62,500. Think about that. We could multiply that by average. So there's plenty of opportunity out there. Just talk to me. I'll show you how in a second. And this should be a lifestyle business. This is not, if you treat this industry right, and I have proof of this, just ask me. So I take on the challenge. It is not where you kill yourself. This is where you can take time off. This is where you can take regular vacation. This is where you can take a time off for your school, children's play, where you can take care of a sick spouse or whatnot. This can be a lifestyle business where you're not in reactive mode. You have to make that choice, and you have to use these mechanisms that I'm talking about and realign. And when you do, and you teach people how to use it with you, you end up having a much healthier lifestyle business, one that's really rewarding, where you're creating your life, you're claiming your power, and you get to still make a difference along the way in your community and with your employees and stand out. But in the end, who you're becoming, you get to enjoy your life, your business. And I say this wholeheartedly, is a vehicle, guys. It's a vehicle to live your life, not the other way around. That's a huge difference. And the profitability part of it is money. Yes, we can solve all those 5 challenges with the 3 things I mentioned today, okay? But also profitability is time freedom. Time freedom. I'm
Rene,
passionate about it because I watch this and I just go, why are you exhausting yourself? It's a choice.
Rene, I really truly believe in all sincerity that the real estate industry as a whole is just such a blessing that we get to create our brand, whether you're in title, mortgage, or real estate. We get to set our goals. We get to blow past our goals. We can create so much within it for ourselves and our lives that I personally can't imagine being in any other industry. I feel blessed by the people who are watching today, whether you're one of my coworkers or you're one of my customers, friends, or by the way, probably my mother. I just feel blessed that I get to wake up every day and have such an amazing piece in the housing industry that really is the American dream. Still it is. And to be a part of that is wonderful. And to have you be a part of it with me is just, again, another blessing. Do you have any closing remarks, Rene?
Well, I want to leverage that because that's why we're connected. You really honor your values. You're walking talk of what I'm speaking to and why you illuminate so brightly and people are attracted to you. You have the magnetic factor, right? And you also are showing the way that you treat your customers and the way that you've built your systems and things that we've been talking about and how we might improve some of those. And that's okay. That's part of this. So you really have naturally, organically, and so easier for you to step into that next level. But even if you're not totally in alignment and your business vehicle hasn't been as maybe fine-tuned as Carrie has, you have the opportunity to hear your listeners, whether you're listening live or you come back and listen to this as a replay. I'm really passionate about this in your market. Yes, people make their financial goals easy with this process. That's a given. But one of the core things that happens with my process is they get their life back. They improve their relationships. They get to look at maybe creative ways that they've wanted to serve and do different they haven't thought of. There's just so much value that comes from this. So I want to leave you with an inspiring thought because that's one of my core leadership why values is to inspire, right? So what we've talked about today are 3 key fundamental success principles that I use in coaching in the real estate industry, and I use it in my other industries too, but related to you. And these 3 fundamental principles that we lightly talked about was creating a magnetic brand and also setting yourself apart and increasing your time freedom. So I have a gift for you that I've set up for you that I'm going to share here. So get your pen and paper out. That is something that I only have so many limited spots, but I want to give this because I value Carrie and I want to practice the parts that I'm sharing today with the magnetic and setting apart and building a relationship of trust by giving you a chance to experience me and work on these 3 areas. So one is that create a magnetic brand. Discover how to turn your magnetic branding zone, I call it, effect by uncovering your power so that you can become the go-to professional and leader in your space, regardless of the market. Setting yourself apart, where you'll uncover a unique repeat, refer, and rave model to set yourself apart in your market and finally assume control of your customer relations and profitable growth that can come from that. And then lastly, the third point that we're going to cover in this special gift that I have for you is increasing your time freedom. And this is where you can explore how to create systems that uncuff you from your business and help you enjoy greater time freedom. So you'll have a chance to work directly with me, not one of my other coaches, after you fill out an application and you get a bonus gift with it in a session with me, and we're going to walk through those 3 areas and evaluate how it is in your current as an individual agent or an escrow officer or mortgage loan, or as the broker, the CEO in the business, whichever model you're in. You'll get to do a light assessment and then spend some time with me, and I can show you how to plug what I call those power leaks in there and really use those 3 key elements in your life and your business now. And how to get access to that is, I think you have to type in the www first. I don't think it goes just with the acronym first. So www.powerzonecoach.com. So www.apply www.powerzonecoach.com. I'll put it in the comments as well. If that doesn't work, use the HTTPS, one with it. But go there, because you're going to see a lot of exciting success stories that isn't me talking, other people. And you have a gift, and whether you go forward or not, there's a special gift for you. And then you can choose to move forward, and I'll share with you how I create partnerships. There's no obligation, but you'll have a chance to spend, and we're going to evaluate those 3 core areas. And I look forward to showing you your magnetic and help you learn how to better utilize the trust factor in your customer relationships to build and grow easily, no matter what the market merry-go-round looks like, and to help you elevate and increase your time freedom.
Thank you, Renee. I'm sure everyone who's watching knows exactly from the last 50 minutes why you call yourself the Power Zone, and really looking for that magnetic piece, that powerful place within ourselves, and using that to create business and a better quality of life. So I really appreciate your time, and anybody who's watching here, thank you so much for your time. I would love your feedback. If you want to get a hold of me, I can be reached on my cell phone always, 602-715-5704. Renee, would you mind putting down in the comments below also your contact information rather than just the website to get a hold of you, so that we can really make sure that if we can be of service to anybody watching today, that we can get that move forward and communicate with you and let you know with how much gratitude we have for the time that you've spent with us today. So anything else you'd like to say, Renee?
No, I think that I appreciate you, always offering like you do, quality for your users. And, Carrie's just a doll, and definitely I'm excited to have the opportunity to serve today. Feel free to reach out to me, direct message me. I love what I do. I'm very passionate what I do. And if it looks like it's a partnership, I have limited opportunities, but I just appreciate to be here and add value. And I hope that something set a pearl for you, and you'll take advantage of what we shared today. And I'll definitely put that information in the comment section. Okay.
All right, we'll go ahead and end that. Again, everyone who's watched today, thank you for spending the last 50 minutes with us. We really appreciate it. And I hope that you have found value. Thank you for being sticking with me as a customer, as a friend, as a family member. I really appreciate you. Go have a great day. Stay safe. And if there's anything I can do to be of service to you and your business, please get a hold of me. I'm always here to help you.